Well, on my note here, he's described as a singer, but I think his name just speaks volumes, and nobody thinks twice. They know who he is. Fish.
Hi, Julie. Thank you very much. Thank you, yeah, Derek Dick, also better known as Fish. I've been a professional musician for over 40 years. Signed to EMI, was in a band called Marillion, went solo in '88. And since then, I've been really pursuing an independent model. We've kind of whittled things down. We work a kind of guerrilla operation in Europe when we go out. It's a nightliner and it's a trailer. As we said, I mean, trying to prepare for what has been thrown at us has been virtually impossible, and the impact is horrendous. We're now facing, for example, I mean, most of my work is in Europe. I'd say probably this year we had 15 UK and approximately 45, 50 European shows. There are countries we won't be able to play now. I'm still trying to get information. I mean, as everybody's pointed out, trying to get the information, to get the numbers is virtually impossible. It needs to be, it needs to be brought into one spot to find this thing. But I mean, for example, you know, in Denmark, we'll play one show, right? In Copenhagen, Belgium, one show, Paris, one show, Spain, 2 shows. But that doesn't work anymore, because we're going to have the visa costs, all the costs of bureaucracy getting loaded onto those single shows. Playing 14 shows in Germany, not a problem. 5, 7 shows to, you know, 1,000, 2,000 people in Holland, not a problem. You can swallow that. But the issue is that getting these visas, as has been pointed out already, the bureaucracy and the time involved, you have to pay people to do this, right? And finding a way to get the visas, to get through into those situations is very, very difficult. On a practical basis, I mean, even on visas now, I mean, we travel in a nightliner with a trailer, right? We'll have a carny for the equipment. Every border, we are going to have to stop in the middle of the night to get that carny stamped. If we do not get that carny stamped, there's a fine. I was fined £1,000 at a Swiss border once, or after, when we had to send the guy in to get the passports, the carny stamp later on. £1,000 for missing that. That, you're driving up to border points now that are basically small houses. They're not elaborate systems. You don't even know if there's somebody on that point at night. You could be doing a loadout at 2 o'clock in the morning, hitting a border at 4 o'clock in the morning, then the carny's got to be stamped, and you have to get your passport stamped. The customs guys could say, unload the truck, check the carny against all the equipment that's in it. You're asking the crew to come out at 4 o'clock in the morning and unload, do another load in, load out in a truck, and get the passport stamped, and with the prospect of a fine. Driver's hours, trying to hit gigs at specific times and on schedules has become a lot more difficult now. For us, you know, with visas, you're going to have to pay for those visas ahead of time. For somebody like myself playing the numbers we do, that is achievable. For a young band that's going out playing a club to 150 people, that is going to be a hell of a hit. And in the same way as not just the equipment, but even with merchandise, which is the backbone of most touring bands nowadays, especially young bands. You know, the VAT considerations that you've got to take on board now. Everything is heavy duty. And what's not been said is that the EU is the 3rd biggest music market in the world, and it's on our doorstep, right? It's on our doorstep. You know, when we go out, when we sign deals, or when we create records, you've also got to remember that streaming, Spotify, etc., it's changed. When I started in 1982, basically you did a tour to support an album, right? Now you do an album to support the tour, because you cannot make you can't make the income from physical product. You're definitely not making it from streaming. So the live element is where you're catching most of your income. And you don't tour 365 days a year. You know, you're going out maybe once in Europe every 18 months. And as I said, the load that's getting put on these individual gigs, and for the ability of young bands, and I think to take away those dreams from musicians that are in the UK, creating albums that are just trying to break into a market that's an hour away in a ferry, right? You know, to have all this weight and pressure put on them, you know, to make it virtually impossible. You know, it has to be addressed, because these bands that are going out and playing those small clubs in Holland, in Belgium, in France, in Germany, they are the future of the British music industry. And that's where the government will be making, you know, a lot of revenue in the future if those bands become successful. You know, we have to look at we have to look at being able to get this free travel. We have to get the free travel and make it as easy as we can to move, to tour, to take our music abroad. You know, I'm very worried about, you know, where my future touring is going to be at, especially when it's linked with, as I said, my independent model, which is, as I said, I'm self-managed. It's my own record company, and the touring and the merchandise together, right? That is my life, right?
Yeah.
And it's been stolen.
And the touring thing, I think, is, we've been hearing select committee about the problems with streaming and the finances. Touring is just so key, isn't it, to young artists coming through, but to basically for people to pay their bills. And we're ahead of the game in this industry, and it seems without sorting this out, we are going to go backwards. But thank you very, very much for your contribution today.